Welcome to your January 2025 predictions around food, body image, and exercise. I'm so excited to be here with you today, and especially so because it's the new year. And the new year can be so motivating and exciting. Maybe you're going into this 2025 start feeling a little off from being your healthiest, most thriving self, or maybe you're feeling spot on with that. But regardless, you're probably seeing and hearing all of the noise around wellness right now. Someone telling you they're doing a challenge and you should do it, or this new exercise routine, or you should take out these foods, or you should be striving for this type of body. And it can be a lot to listen to, but also for some of you, it may make you feel a little bit confused because you are likely wanting to feel your best. Don't we all want to feel our healthiest and our best? And yet, a lot of these things actually end up completely distracting from you actually getting there. And as a dietitian that focuses on intuitive eating, which really expands to intuitive living in general, I really believe that each and every one of us is the creator of us feeling our best. So I should say you feeling your best comes from you in figuring out the food habits, the exercise habits, the body image habits that make you feel good. And no one can tell you some exact plan that's going to get you there. So every single month I put together specific themes and predictions that I have. And the point is that you will be able to look at these or hear these and lean into them if you're feeling called to them. And or if you're going through the month of January and you find yourself in moments where you may encounter a challenge or where you're noticing a theme, you can think back to this video and remember, oh yeah, that was something that came up. And that's the feedback I've been hearing from you guys as I've been doing these a couple of months now, which really, really excites me. So thank you for being here, especially if you're new. I include all the links to my info within the description, my Instagram, my podcast, my free community group, my ways to work with me. So if you want to check those out, go ahead. But I'm just going to dive right in. And I saw that. I looked up right for a second at the camera and it said 222. And yes, we love angel numbers here, okay? Why can't we allow the little things to bring us joy? People be like, that's so basic. Okay, I don't care. All right. So let's start off. Number one, does not surprise me that this came up, but pressure around intentions. So I want to explain more what I mean by pressure around intentions, because this sounds pretty obvious. When we go into the new year, there's often this expectation that we are meant to set goals, that you are meant to have these intentions. So that's one thing, and you could feel pressure to set those, which I will just quickly touch on the fact that you don't have to set intentions if you don't want to. You don't even have to set a word for the year. You don't have to set goals. You need to do what feels right for you. I know a lot of people that follow an astrological calendar or a moon calendar or just any other way of starting the year at a different point than January 1st. So maybe that calls to you. Even different cultures have different year starts. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that you don't have to feel called to start right in this moment. I often feel like I really start to feel like the year is starting around February or March. So that's just an aside. But by this, I also mean that as you set your intentions, I really do foresee that there is a chance for some of you, you're going to get a lot of pushback and pressure from other people in your life and outside circumstances trying to take you away from that intention. And of course, this is not a new concept. It's not new that there are people that when you work to evolve will feel uncomfortable with that because they feel confronted by your change, likely due to the fact that you're mirroring something to them, and that makes them have to look at themselves, but they may not recognize that, so they just project it right back out onto you. But also because we are in a state in the world right now where there are many people grappling with who they are, what their values are, what they want. And I think because there's some big changes going on, especially here in the US coming in 2025, it may feel even more intolerable for people in your life to see that you could be going through another change, because you would be indicative of just another thing that's shifting when they want to try to have things be in control and to say, no, it's going to stay this way, which we know that we can't control life. Well, at least I know that to be true. I believe that as someone that has tried to control life so much, because we're never guaranteed what's going to happen next. We're not guaranteed another second, another hour, another day. We don't know exactly what's going to happen to us. And even it's interesting because in 2025, as I've been listening to astrologers, they've been talking about there are massive shifts this year happening astrologically. And if you don't believe in astrology, that's completely fine. You don't have to watch these videos. I think my point is there are people that will feel confronted and try to pressure you to get away from your intentions. And I want to just say this, not to bring it into your life, not to say this is going to happen, but to remind you that there is nothing more beautiful than pursuing your best self. Because when you are your best, you can impact your relationships, you can impact your life, you can impact your hobbies, your jobs in the way that makes you feel best. And anyone else that tries to really take you away from that, it's not that you can't be friends with that person, you can't love that person, but recognize that the people that really care for you and can be there for you in that moment will recognize when things are best for you and respect when you tell them that. So that's number one. Second, fatigue around starting. So here's the thing, all these I feel like sound simple, but there's so much to them beyond what I wrote down. When I say fatigue around starting, it goes back to one of the very first things I was saying. The time of year that we set intentions in the US, in the Northern Hemisphere, is really an interesting one because we're in winter. And winter, historically, when we look at time and the way that we are interacting with the seasons, is a moment for rest and for retreat, especially right after the holidays. And if you are feeling like, oh my gosh, I just can't even imagine setting intentions right now or setting goals, I feel so fatigued and exhausted, I would offer you a few things. Number one, are you pressuring yourself to make your goals and intentions look a certain way? Are you making them too intense, too stringent? Are you making them all in actionable areas rather than making some of them more fluid or more focused on things that are joyful or fun? So that would be one thing. And number two, is this the time for you to start? Or can you just allow yourself some more time for rest? Can you allow your intentions to be something that you have flexibility around throughout the year? Can you make things really sustainable for yourself? Can you do intentions that feel fun, such as I'm going to make sure I carve out at least 2 times a week or 1 time a week where I'm doing something that makes me feel really happy? Remember, these things are meant to add to your life, and although society preaches otherwise, the way to add to your life is not just to do things that are hard all the time. It's to have an enriching life. And an enriching life comes from a multitude of things, not just executing a perfect workout plan. There's no such thing. Or eating a certain way, or being the best self, or just making more money. That's not what ends up making the most enriching life. Number 3, the year of splits. This is probably not something that is shocking to many of you, but I foresee, and I actually do want to make a themes for 2025 video. Let me know if you'd like to see that. I foresee that this year we will feel like people are going in we'll see on the outside opposite directions. I think we're going to see a lot of people that are doubling down on becoming a version of themselves that is their highest self or their best self, or the person that is doing all of these things that is going to facilitate them feeling their best, whether it be with food, movement, communication, I already said movement, body image, all of that stuff. And then we're going to see other people that are likely going to double down on doing the same thing. And this is not to say that these people are doing the right thing and these people are doing the wrong thing. They're just different. The reason I bring it up is because it's important to remember that when you're interacting with others, because someone may be doubling down on doing the same things, and it will likely at a certain point start to become somewhat uncomfortable because the world is changing just overall. So doing the same things, that person's likely going to meet resistance at some time. But we have to also remember every single one of us has a different journey, has a different timeline. And being really hard on someone and telling them they're failing or telling them they're too slow, that doesn't end up making someone feel better either. So giving someone grace is so important. And also remembering that just because someone else is doubling down on not changing and they may not like what you're doing does not mean that you should change what you're doing. But similarly, just because you are going on a trajectory of change does not mean that everyone around you is going to get on that same wavelength. And of course, there's times where you may feel like that challenges or makes you question a relationship. But there are also times where maybe you just need to give someone else more time. And that's a lesson I'm still learning as well. Number 4, hold on. Focus on joy over judgment. I know that these all really connect into each other, or they feel like they connect into each other really beautifully, I should say, because building on what I was just saying, it's so easy for each and every one of us to get on a high horse about what it is that we're doing that someone else is not. I'm doing this wellness challenge, and because I'm doing this wellness challenge and this person is not, I'm doing so much better than them. I'm doing dry January because this person's not doing dry January, I'm doing so much better than them. I'm focusing on food freedom, and because someone else is not focusing on food freedom, I'm doing so much better than them. And this may even be subconscious, or it may be fleeting moments where you go into that. But the truth is, our success within striving for something has nothing to do with what someone else is doing in comparison to us. Because you know what? There is probably that someone else that is not doing whatever it is that you're doing that's also simultaneously doing things that you are not doing. And of course there's exceptions to this, right? There are extremes. But the point of this is every single person has different things that they're excelling in and that they are working on. And society can put more value on one or another, but really it doesn't have anything to do with what society thinks or even what someone else thinks about it. It has to do with how it affects you. And if it's affecting you positively, then that's incredible. Similarly, if it's affecting you negatively, but you're doing it because society thinks that that's the best thing to do, then it's not positive. So an example is 75 hard. I do not like 75 hard. I will be honest with you. I have an entire podcast episode that explains exactly why I feel that way and goes really in depth into it. So you're welcome to check that out. I can link that for you. And the reason why I mention it in this video is because I see a lot of people do 75 hard as a band-aid to a deeper wound that they don't know is there. And really, they also thrive off of telling other people that they're doing it. And yet it doesn't usually end up being sustainable in the long run. So that's just one example. I'm not pinpointing 75 hard as the thing that people are doing that's not good and they're just doing it for validation. I don't feel like that at all. But it is one example of something I have seen people do because they feel like it is exemplified as this positive, amazing thing in society, when really for them, it's not actually the best. Now, some of you may experience this with striving for food freedom or body acceptance, and you have family members or friends that say, well, why are you doing that? Why are you eating that? Why are you having yada, yada, yada? But you need to remember, just because they're pushing back on that does not mean that that is the wrong thing. And although it is very challenging, I think, in those moments when someone else is showing judgment to you or where you're feeling internal judgment towards someone else, to not lean into it, I do find that if you let that go as much as you can and remember that each person's journey is their journey, and instead focus on your joy and focus on how you're feeling and how this is impacting you, it makes the world of difference. Okay, last one, number 5, trust one person. So this one is an interesting one because when we talk about trusting people and trusting information, we always want to be mindful of not getting ourselves into a complete echo chamber. And this goes especially for food, body image, exercise. Yet at the same time, a lot of what I see with my clients is that they're coming to me and they're feeling so confused because they're following so many people's advice, and it's starting to make them question their treatment team or their process or whatever else it may be. And why I say trust one person is not because I'm saying you shouldn't follow anybody and you should only take one piece of information and then trust that blindly. Not at all. But I would encourage you to ask yourself, is it helpful for me to be following 6 million food freedom accounts? Is it helpful to me to be binging 20 different health podcasts? Or am I recognizing that this is not actually very helpful for me? And also ask yourself, does what I'm listening to, consuming, or reading, is that supporting my end goal? So if I'm wanting to achieve food freedom and that's my main goal for this year, do I need to be listening to Huberman Labs? I'm not saying that Huberman Labs does not have things that are very scientifically backed and valid from what he says. Now, mind you, I'm not listening to all of his podcasts. I've familiarized myself with his work. But ask yourself, is that really the most supportive for you with what you're going through right now? Think about it like this. If you want to start writing a book, I'm thinking of that because I'm currently reading this book and it's right over here. If you want to start writing a book, oh, there's that kitty Mako. It's cold outside for you, Angel. Oh my gosh, he's coming inside. He's so cute. We have basically a neighborhood cat. I wonder if he wants inside. Okay, hold on. I have to stop. Oh, he's coming to get water. So sorry. I had to go out and get him water because he came to a water bowl and it wasn't filled because it's snowing out. Okay. I love animals so much. My whole point is that if you were wanting to write a book, you wouldn't then go and watch all of these videos about how to create a YouTube channel. You would go watch videos on how to write a book. And those two things could seem kind of similar in your head. Oh, well, starting a YouTube channel, I could promote my book, and promoting my book could be helpful, but focus on the real goal and focus on what you need at that time. If you want to have a YouTube channel to promote your book, great. But first, focus on writing the book, then get back to the YouTube channel. Because so much of the time, I cannot tell you how much I see this because of the way that things are presented online and just confusion around health, rightfully so. People are trying to achieve an end goal without having done any of the process to get there. So my example that I use a lot is intuitive eating. People will be trying to intuitively eat, and yet they are not in a place to be able to intuitively eat, because intuitively eating is the very end goal. That's the dream that you have. So if you try to start intuitively eating when you are starting your journey, you will make things worse. If you go to the gym and it's your first time and you try to squat the bar with 45s on it, it's not gonna be good. That's like trying to go in and just listen to your hunger and fullness. It's not that simple. We have to help you with all the steps in between that. Not in a way of, oh my gosh, it's gonna take forever, but in a way of, we want you to have success, not get caught in the struggle because of the fact that you're trying to jump ahead. So trusting one person is more about making sure that you are curating a very small subset of people that you genuinely trust, that are also experts within their field. They're getting you towards the intention of the goal that you have, especially around food, body image, and wellness. I hope you enjoyed these. I feel like these were very in line with January, and yet they felt like what were needed. And so as you go into this month, I really urge you to just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Come back to this if you need reminders. Message me if you want to talk to someone. If you are ready to start this year free from food noise and not listening to everything going on around you, and instead listening to yourself so that you can focus on what brings you joy, I would love to invite you to my new membership, Freedom from Food Noise. I'm so excited about it. We have a deal currently going on, so you can check the link below. And I also have a free workshop as well that I released about 3 phases to freedom from food noise. So both of those are linked below. and let me know what you want to see from me in the new year on my YouTube channel. My goal is to not only do these monthly predictions, but to add some more stuff again and get back to even more videos on this channel. So let me know what you would love to see, what's helpful to you. I know that this has been going through a rebrand from what it was in the past to what it is now, but that's just life sometimes. It ebbs and it flows, and yet I'm always keeping you in mind and what will be helpful. So thank you for being here with me. I love you so much, and I hope you have an amazing start to your 2025.